Okay, can people hear me? I am having some issues. I believe we are live. Things. Okay. Okay, cool. I think we're good now. Sorry about that, guys. It was bound to happen eventually. But I think if we are good to go, I will start sharing my screen. Lizzie, could you make me the host again? Holy crap.
All right, you should be host now.
Okay, yep, I can see that. Sweet. Okay, cool. All righty. Can you guys all see this? Are we good to go? All righty. Well, welcome everybody to the Student Chapter of Wildlife Society's General Member Meeting. It was a great day today. Hope everyone got out and voted. And it was just such a beautiful day to be outside. Without further ado, started. So if you guys want to go out on projects this year, you're going to have to pay dues. Those are $5 a semester, or $8 a year. And there's two ways to pay those. There's an online payment option. Otherwise, you can cash drop off at my office hour on Mondays from 10 to 2. And if you're using PayPal, you'll just want to use my email and make sure you're using friends and family so you don't get charged. If you have questions about paying dues, Brylan, I, or Melinda, be happy to help.
And then, so there are 3 things that we need from you to be able to go out on projects. That is our membership form, dues, and hold harmless. Nate already talked about dues. The membership form and hold harmless forms, the link for the form and the file for the hold harmless form were both sent out in an email from me. So you should have gotten those if you're on our email list. If you cannot find my email, just send me an email and I can send you the form and stuff. So when you're filling out hold harmless, you're going to send it back to me. Please have TWS hold harmless be the subject line and put your name in the document title to just make managing all that easier for me. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Melinda.
All right, so our conservation topic this week is about how monarchs select different milkweeds. So this study was done by Adam Baker and his team, and they were curious to see if monarchs select for or against, different types of milkweed, if they're selecting for native ones, if they're selecting against ornamental ones. And they also looked at bees as well. So they found in this study that they counted the number of monarch eggs and larvae on different plants, and they found that monarchs actually chose to lay their eggs on cultivated and native plants at the same rate. So basically meaning like they're not choosing to lay their eggs only on the native plants. They're using both the same. And they also found that the growth and development of the larvae on both plant types was the same, showing that like the ornamental plants are just as nutritionally stable as the native species. And then they found for bees that the bees actually benefited from the cultivated ornamental plants. And they found that a higher diversity of bees were visiting these species over the native plants. So this has a lot of uses, especially in like urban and suburban settings, since obviously ornamental milkweed is a lot more accessible to average people who probably don't know anything about milkweed or monarchs or anything. So if they're buying the ornamental milkweed that you can just buy at a garden mart, those actually have the same benefits for monarchs and bees, which is really awesome. So just average citizens can make a difference. With that, we can move on to our quiz bowl. So obviously monarchs are toxic to eat because they eat toxic milkweed, which that toxin is stored inside their bodies. So can anyone name what this toxin is called? We got glycoside, tetrodotoxin, botulinum, and ricin.
Answers are rolling in. Couple more to go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Sharing the results.
Oh, you guys got it. It is glycoside. That's, the toxin that a lot of plants produce, but particularly milkweed. So don't eat milkweed and don't eat monarchs, basically. Otherwise you'll get sick.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you, Lizzie. Alrighty, guys. So there is a wildlife health seminar series being put on by the Daniel Trainer seminar. And if you missed the first one, you got another chance this Thursday on November the 5th, talking about mergansers and then controlling swimmer's itch outbreaks. So it should be a super cool talk, and these are all free. Rylan.
So last night I sent you guys, if you're a project co-leader, you guys should have received a couple emails from me. So we're going to be working on the budget. As you probably know, we get our money, we're funded through SGA, so we'll need to submit a big budget to them in December. And in order to do that, I need to know what all the projects want. So if there's anything that any money you want for travel or maintenance and equipment costs, you can put this down on the budget. It's pretty simple to fill out. Just, kind of estimate what you're going to be doing for travel and if you need it to buy any equipment. If you do not submit a budget, you will not be allotted funds this year or next year. So make sure you get those filled out and submitted back to me by Friday, November 13th at midnight. And then don't expect your budget to increase after the fact, so plan accordingly. And then if you're planning on traveling in the near future, you'll have to gain approval prior to this travel. So there's the TWS COVID approval forms that were sent out a few weeks ago. So if you fill one of those out, you can sign it and email it back to me. Then Dr. Riddle and I will review the forms and forward them to the budget director to get approval for travel. This is going to be pretty important if you want to get reimbursed for that travel. In addition, project leaders are going to need to keep track of all volunteers that attend outings, and you'll be submitting those lists to your officer liaison for contact tracing and record keeping purposes. So for example, I'm the officer liaison for the AWA and the Deer Project, so make sure you know who you're supposed to be submitting those forms or those lists to. I don't have all the information on how often you should be doing that, but just keep good records and I'll get you guys some more information when I know some more stuff. And I'll stick around at the end of the meeting if anybody has any questions about budget forms or this COVID form. You're up, Lizzie.
Okay. Well, I'm actually not even a co-host. Who's the host now? Let's play this game.
Looks like Michaela is.
I think I'm the host, but I don't know how to make you the host.
So if you click on participants, and then you can see everyone's names. If you hover over my name and more. Ah, sweet. Okay. I can pull up the Google Doc then. Poor Nate. Evan. Oh, thanks. His name's Draco. He's enjoying the nice weather we're having today. All right. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
All right.
Does
Um,
anyone have any questions about budgets or forms at the moment?
all right. Well, I guess we'll move on. Still lacking Nate. We'll just see if he pops in at some point. Does anyone have the slide? Okay, well, I guess I could talk about it. There's a restoration work day with the Portage County Humane Society. These work days will be, or the work day will be on Friday, November 6th. And volunteers can email the 2 emails here on the page. Yeah, it'll be from noon to 4 for Friday, November 6th. And you're free to come and go as you please. No need to stick around for all 4 hours. You'll be removing trees, vegetation, clearing brush, and just kind of helping with the Humane Society. So if you are interested, email those people.
Okay, I'm back. I have no idea what is going on right now, but I hope you guys can hear me.
Oh,
Okay.
You literally just. Okay, so we are hosting our presenters informational meeting this next Monday at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The email should be coming out to you guys soon. We had some issues sending the email out to like the mass of students, but we should get that fixed shortly. And then we are also currently looking for more people to help out. So if you're interested, you can email me and I can put you on our member list. And those meetings are at 5 p.m. on Thursdays.
All right. Sorry, I'm just. Okay, I don't know what is going on with this. Okay, we're good. Figured it out. Nate, am I just continuing to lead this? Or like.
Go for it, Lizzie. Take over,
right.
just in case things go south again.
All right.
My turn. Hey everyone, you get to see my wonderful face again talking about the upcoming Midwest Fish and Wildlife Conference. So our student chapter is sponsoring a number of people, and I sent out applications a couple weeks ago. So these are due this Thursday by 11:59 p.m. and all members are welcome to apply. So if you've never been to a conference, this is a great opportunity to network with professionals and show off all that pointer research that we all have. And then if you sent in an abstract, make sure you definitely apply. This conference is $75 for each person, so you'll be getting reimbursed that money. And then if you have any questions, you can email me and also send applications to me as well at the email below.
Hi everyone, my name is Melina and I'm the leader of the CNR Bible Study, which is a group of natural resource majors just coming together to learn more about the Bible. Currently we're going through just various topics that are prepared from this really cool site, an organization called the Bible Project, and they make these really cool, they're in an animation studio and they make these really fun videos about complex themes throughout the Bible and like make it really easy to understand. So the Zoom link is there on the slide. We meet every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. And if you have any questions, you can email me or Megan. Our emails are also on the slide. And if it's easier for me to send the Zoom link directly through email, please email me to let me know that. So I can make that easier for you.
Hi, the Waterfowl Project is still looking for co-leaders. No experience is necessary, and this is the spring project, and we check wood duck boxes at the Mead Wildlife Area. If you have any questions or if you have a completed application, email me or Aiden, and our emails are below. Thank you.
Anyone from the Northern Salad Owl Project?
Yeah,
All
I can talk on it. So actually, the applications for co-leaders for the Solid Owl project are closed right now. So yeah, so thank you to all who applied, and we look forward to reading through your applications.
Hello, everyone. So every Friday, we feature a wildlife photo taken by one of our members on our Facebook and Instagram page. So if you've taken any cool wildlife photos recently or in the past, you can send them in to our Instagram page or you can email me. And then you can follow our student chapter on multiple platforms. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. You can add us on Snapchat with the code up on the slide. If you ever can't make it to a meeting, our meetings are recorded and you can find those recordings on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel.
Okay, awesome. So that's it for announcements. Next week, we're going to have Sarah Johnson, who is an animal ambassador keeper at Lincoln, Nebraska's Children's Zoo. She's going to give us some input on some of the programs and like the wildlife education that they do with their ambassador animals. So it should be a super cool talk. But without further ado, we have Michaela Grider here this week, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about her journey and some grad school. So take it away, Michaela.
Thanks, Nate. Let me figure out how to share my screen. Okay, I think I got it. So I've just started my project at Point. Oh, I don't want presenter view. How do I get out of that? This is a mess. Let's see if this works. Well, as soon as I figure out how to work PowerPoint without presenter view.
Should be slideshow in those tabs right there, and then from beginning. Does that work?
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
Oh no, dude, what is going on today?
I don't know. I think it froze.
Something's in the air.
Okay, well, while I'm figuring this out, I might have to just not do full screen. Redo. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, we're back to the yeah, I don't know what's going on here, Nate.
It says you've started your share, but there's a blank screen for me. Oh, there it popped up. Now
there, I stopped my share because I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my PowerPoint.
If need be, you can just scroll through your slides. I don't find an issue with that.
Okay, I might just end up doing that. I just don't want it in presenter view. There we go.
If anyone else has any input, Feel
I
free.
think I got it. All right.
Okay.
I just had to get it out of presenter view. Here we go. Share my screen again. You would think I'd know how to do this by now. All right. I don't know. Can you guys see it at least? Does that work?
There we go. There
All
we
right,
go.
cool.
Awesome.
Okay. So I don't have any data on my project yet. So I'm just going to give you guys some advice that I've found helpful through the process of getting into grad school and kind of my journey to how I got back to Point. So for those that don't know me, here's a little background info. I grew up in central Illinois along the Illinois River. It was a small town, not the best education system, so getting into college was a bit of an adventure. Not that it was particularly difficult, but I didn't have a lot of background info about like choosing colleges, so that was interesting. One of my friends went to Point for environmental education. She told me about Stevens Point, and that's how I found this. I met my husband Tyler while I was at Point, and now we live in Mosinee. So like I said, I grew up hunting, fishing, hiking. For the longest time, I thought I wanted to be a vet, like a large animal vet or exotic animal vet. But then between my sophomore and junior year of high school, I did a job shadow program with USDA. It was called Ag Discovery. It was 4 weeks shadowing USDA aphis biologists. And during that time, I met feral hog biologists from central Illinois. And that's kind of when I knew that I wanted to be a biologist. They were talking about the work they did, and I just thought, hey, that's really cool. So yeah, like I said, a friend of mine came to UWSP for environmental ed, and that's how I got here. So in undergrad, I majored in wildlife ecology, and I had minors in water resources and biology. During my time here, I worked in the aquatic biomonitoring lab, which if you don't know where it is, it's right across from the wildlife lab on the 3rd floor of the TNR. So I worked with Jeff Dimmick there, and I kind of developed this passion for macroinvertebrates and wetland research. And then my advisor in undergrad was Dr. Straub. So if you're a new student, you wouldn't know him. He used to be the waterfowl, Kennedy Groney waterfowl guy. Dr. Seninger has his position now. But like I said, he was my advisor. And I got into waterfowl through working with him. So then that kind of takes me into my career so far. My first summer job was at Forbes Biological Station in Illinois. I'll talk about each of these a little bit before I get into grad school. Then I worked in Bemidji, Minnesota with the Minnesota DNR as a banding intern. And then from Bemidji, I started a grad program at MNSU Mankato in biology. So this is kind of where I want to focus my project, is on picking this project and kind of some of the issues that came up with my grad school journey. Then last summer, I worked in Illinois for a Western Illinois grad student studying lesser scaup habitat on pools 19 and 13 of the upper Mississippi River. And after that, I came back to Point. I worked with Dr. Studinsky, or I'm working with Dr. Studinsky in NRCS, studying wetland quality with macroinvertebrates and plants. So while I was at Forbes, I helped with numerous grad projects, but the main one was an American green-winged teal diet analysis. I identified seeds and macroinvertebrates from esophageal, proventricular, gizzard, and habitat core samples. I was a lead technician on a nesting waterbird survey at MCLAN Nature Preserve. So we did nest surveys every week for 6 weeks on waterbirds nesting in this huge restored floodplain of the Illinois River. Our data is currently undergoing revisions for a publication, so that's really cool. And I also did some upland waterfowl nest drag surveys, mostly finding mallards. Cool. And then we worked on waterfowl brood surveys and wood duck trapping, processing, and tracking for fall wood duck habitat use and migration. That's part of their 3-year study that's still ongoing. So these are just some pictures from my time at Forbes. So we have wood duck trapping, a tracking collar, picture of my setup for brood surveys on the levee, a mallard nest that we found nest dragging, emiquon, and a leaf spinner nest that was one of the main species we found during our nesting surveys for that waterbird project. And then the next job was Bemidji as a banding intern, like I said. Banded waterfowl with drive trapping and night lighting, which if you guys want to know more about some of these technical terms, I can answer those at the end. And I banded tons of duck species, mostly mallards during drive trapping because they're the easiest to catch. But night lighting, we focused on ringnecks. So that was really cool. Then my Upper Miss Lesser Scott project, I was working with Lauren Larson. She's a Western Illinois graduate student. She's doing a habitat use and availability study for lesser scaup on pools 19 and 13. So majority of that project was macroinvertebrate sampling and ID, and then vegetative mapping of the 2 pools. We also did a true metabolizable energy feeding trial on lesser scaup, where we feed them some common food items, and then she runs those fecal samples through a bomb calibrator to see how much energy they're getting from each food source. Just some other cool stuff I've done. I volunteered to band at Winus Point Marsh Conservancy. One of my best friends was a research tech there. It's in Port Clinton, Ohio. So I just visited her in early March, I think, of this year, and we banded black ducks and mallards. Right, so through my limited time in field jobs, these are some skills that I think people often forget to put on their resumes that are really important, and that I think a lot of jobs look for. So anything technical and research related is great. Obviously, you want to focus on the projects that you've worked on, but don't forget to do some of the layperson skills that you might forget about. So I put equipment maintenance and use. So obviously ATVs, tractors, chainsaws, boats, mechanical troubleshooting. This is really important. If you've got a mechanical mind, I think it's really important to put that on there because things break all the time. My dad is a heavy equipment mechanic, so I had some kind of basic troubleshooting skills that I've brought to all of my jobs, and they've come in handy more times than I can count. So I think it's good for you to include those things. And heavy equipment operation, like I'm not certified in anything, but I've operated backhoes and large tractors and excavators and things like that, which often come in handy. They usually won't actually let you operate the equipment because they want certified people on it, or they contract that stuff out. But I think it's good to have a basic knowledge of how that equipment works. Welding, because like I said, things break all the time. You have to weld things back onto boats and other equipment. Any data entry skills, any stats programming or analysis. I ended up making an entire database for Lauren during my time at Kibbe, which was the Scott project, which was really helpful for her and helped me with my project stuff now. So, okay, I'll get into grad school round one. So I started my program studying parasites. I had taken parasitology with Dr. Orlovsky at Point. I thought I really liked it, loved parasites. Ducks are full of parasites, if you don't know, so I thought that was somewhere that I wanted to take my career. I developed my own research project on trematode infections in Bithynia tentaculata, which is faucet snails in Lake Onalaska, so pool 8 of the Mississippi. I tried writing some grants. Okay, backing up. I had reached out to this professor at Mankato that Dr. Orlovsky knew, and he was a great person and a great biologist, but he was kind of towards the end of his career. He had quite a few grad students. I'm not saying anything against him, but there was a lot of times I felt like I needed more attention as a student, and so I didn't always feel like we were on the same page. He was very lab focused in his research. I wanted to be more field focused. It was just things that I didn't know before I got to school that are things you need to know about yourself, I think, before you start a project. So, like I said, he was a super great person. I don't have any ill feelings towards him. It was just not the right fit for me. And this is why I'm giving you guys that advice, so you don't end up in the same place I did, where you start a project and end up having to leave. So I tried writing some grant proposals. I wrote a huge grant proposal for Ducks Unlimited. Obviously, I didn't get funded. I didn't have any money to complete the project. He was trying to get me to stay. You know, he really wanted me to finish and to be able to complete my master's there, but I just knew I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted, and it wasn't going to get me where I wanted in my career. So I made the decision to leave. I had no money, I had no ideas, I had no vision for my future. I hated being stuck in the lab, and I didn't like the idea of that as a career. So I really found out that I didn't like parasites as much as I thought I did. I had to have a lot of conversations with mentors and friends about what I wanted. And I just decided that finding something more field focused was where I needed to be. So, like I said, I talked to mentors and advisors, which brings up a good point of keep in touch with your old bosses, keep in touch with your professors. Points professors are obviously super relatable and very helpful in everything. And I've kept relationships with all of them. I still talk to Dr. Schraub frequently. I talk to Shelley Dubé all the time, Sean Crimmins, who is now in Alaska. I've reached out to all of those people before I left Mankato and knew that that was the decision I needed to make. So before I left, I reached out to tons of professors at various universities. I sent what I'll call a cold email. I sent out emails to people that I thought would be interesting to work for. I sent them my CV. I said, hey, I'm really interested in what you do. Do you have any projects? A lot of times they came back with, hey, your CV is really impressive, but no, I don't have any money, so I don't have a position. But keep on trucking was usually the advice I got. So I fulfilled my teaching contract at the end of May, and I left Mankato. And then I started on that Upper Mississippi project in the beginning of June. And while I was there, I really fell in love with the career of being a wetland biologist again. I realized that I don't know why I was lying to myself, but I love macroinvertebrates. So I knew I wanted to keep doing that. I love waterfowl, love being in wetlands. So I knew I wanted to find a master's project that focused on all of those things. So I saw a posting on Texas A&M. If you guys don't know what that is, Texas A&M job boards. I'm sure you've all heard about it. Great place to look for jobs. That's where I found almost every job I've had. So Dr. Studinsky posted his announcement on the job board. I applied after a minor freak out. I got hired and I started in August. I wasn't sure that I wanted to come back to the same place I did my undergrad, but I just knew that this project was a really good fit. Dr. Studinsky is an amazing advisor. The project's exactly what I want to do, so that's where I'm at. I'm currently writing my proposal. I have objectives for the project, and not much else. Obviously, I haven't collected data. I won't do that until the spring. So we're working with NRCS on some wetland quality metrics. So if you guys know, Wetland Reserve Program is conservation easements for private land where we convert that land back into wetlands. It's generally ag land. And so in order to track the status of those wetlands, NRCS has these monitoring worksheets that they need filled out. Dr. Studinsky had done some work with them on these monitoring worksheets and realized, hey, there's potential for a project here. And they were like, well, we can give you the money to do this monitoring work for us, but we can't really pay you to do research. So my funding is coming from filling out these monitoring worksheets. And then while I'm there doing the monitoring stuff, I'm also collecting data for my master's. So we're collecting macroinvertebrate and plant and contaminants. So we're looking at a specific class of insecticides called neonicotinoids, which are generally seed treatments applied to seeds before they're planted. They're derived from nicotine, and they affect neurological pathways in inverts. But there's been some new data that suggests they persist in waterways for a lot longer than we thought, and they have this kind of accumulation effect that ends up being really detrimental to inverts and some fish, which is not what we want, obviously. So we're looking for any presence of those in our wetlands, along with other contaminants from agricultural runoff, and then relating those to two metrics from the Wisconsin DNR. So there's the Wisconsin Wetland Macroinvertebrate Index of Biotic Integrity and the Wisconsin Floristic Quality Assessment Index. We're comparing all of those to this human disturbance gradient that the Wisconsin DNR developed as a metric for anthropogenic impacts on wetlands. So with that, here's my advice for picking an advisor. Treat your interviews like a two-way street. So my interview for Mankato, I didn't really have one. I sent my advisor my CV and my interest, and he was like, hey, this sounds great, and just kind of brought me on. Mankato was unique in that they give students limited funding as soon as they're brought on by a professor. So we didn't already have external funding, and he was hopeful that we'd be able to complete a project without external funding. That ended up not being the case for what I wanted to do, obviously, but because I didn't have an interview with him, I didn't have the chance to really get to know what he was like. And that's something I kind of regret not doing. I didn't know what he would be like as an advisor. I didn't talk to his old grad students. So when you're in interviews for grad school, get to know them also. Obviously, you want to sell yourself. You want to tell them how great you are, why you're the best for the project, but you need to make sure that you can work with that guy or girl. And you're going to work with them a lot. I'm in meetings with Dr. Studinsky every week. We're constantly emailing each other, so you need to make sure you get along with them. You have similar personalities. You both kind of have the same idea of a work-life balance. I know a lot of people, not a lot. I have some friends in grad school right now, and their advisors are very much like go, 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 and don't think that you need free time, but obviously, especially with how the world is right now, you need to be able to have some downtime for yourself, and having somebody that understands that is important. You want somebody who's going to push you to be a better scientist. That's the whole point of a master's. But you also want them to be supportive. So Dr. Studinsky is super supportive, but also very direct. He's like, he will just straight up tell me, that's not good. Let's redo this. But he never makes me feel inadequate. And neither did the guy from Mankato. I think it's just a difference in kind of critiquing styles. So that was kind of jumbled and all over the place, but I'll take any questions that you guys have. And that's just kind of my experience with getting into grad school.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mikhail. I think you've got some questions already.
Okay, somebody asked, how are agricultural lands chosen to be turned back into wetlands? Is there a common goal with each one, or is each piece of land you've worked on different with a specific goal? That's a really great question. I haven't worked on any of the wetlands yet, so I can't fully answer that question. So they choose areas that have the potential to be a wetland. So we look at things like hydrology, soils, previous land use, like before it was converted to ag, was it already a wetland? So we can just convert it back. Do we have the option to plug drainage ditches and get water back into that area? Does it have the soil that can support a wetland? The common goal is just to create wetland habitat. And that's where these monitoring worksheets come in, is, okay, we've created what we would consider a wetland, but is it a good wetland? And then, yeah, so the landowners volunteer to enroll their land into this program. So I hope that answers that question. And then let's see, how much longer am I in grad school? So this is my first semester here, so I will be here until spring of 23, maybe sooner. I'll have 2 field seasons and then kind of 4 semesters of school.